The opinions and viewpoints expressed in .NET Rocks are not necessarily those of its sponsors, or of Microsoft Corporation, its partners, or employees. .NET Rocks is a production of Franklin's Net, which is solely responsible for its content. Franklin's Net, training developers to work smarter. Hey, Rockheads! Stop recalibrating your microphone array and listen up. It's time for another stellar episode of .NET Rocks, the internet audio talk show for .NET developers with Carl Franklin and Rory Blythe. This is Jeff Maciolik here to announce show number 79 with guest Dave Wecker, recorded live Friday, September 3rd, 2004. .NET Rocks is brought to you by Franklin's Net, training developers to work smarter, and now offering hands-on VBNet and ASP.NET classes remotely, online at www.franklins.net. And by Data Dynamics, makers of ActorReports.net. Simple, powerful, and cost-effective reporting for Windows Forms and ASP.NET web applications, online at www.datadynamics.com. And by Dundas Chart, advanced technology, advanced results, online at www.dundaschart.com. Support is also provided by Code Magazine, Microsoft Technologies in-depth for IT managers and developers, online at www.code-magazine.com. And now, the man who has been picked at the peak of geekness, Carl Franklin.
Thank you. I'm Carl, and you're listening to .NET Rocks, live in New London, Connecticut. And let me just go ahead and introduce my co-host, my partner in crime out there in Portland, Oregon, Rory Blythe. What's up, man?
What's up, Carl?
How you doing? You know, I was thinking tonight as I was listening to the song and Jeff do the intro, as he always does, that, you know, our list of sponsors keeps growing, and that after a while, if we get any more, we're going to have to, do the extended version of Toy Boy.
Yeah.
You have to make a dance mix or something. I don't know. How you been?
I've been good. I'm at the end of 4 weeks of traveling around the States, starting off in Texas, going to Fort Lauderdale, and then Miami, and then Portland, and then Kentucky, and then Cincinnati, and then Portland, and then Tacoma, and then Portland, and then Boulder, Colorado, and then Denver, and back home, and I am tired.
Yeah, I guess
feel
so.
really, really, really good, but I am exhausted. So I'm happy to be home. I'm going to have the week off from traveling. Still going to have to work, but not going to be doing any traveling this week, and then I'll be heading up to Olympia and Seattle the week after.
Wow, cool.
So
cool.
yeah, feeling pretty good.
Awesome.
Just wanted to go to bed at some point.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. We had a kind of a wacky schedule.
I got a cool thing. I got a cool toy.
What you got?
I got an iPac 6315. These are the brand new Pocket PC iPac phones.
Sweet.
It's got the built-in camera. It's got the Wi-Fi. It's got the Bluetooth. It's got the this. It's got the that. The thing is really, really sweet. I've been playing with it all day long, just messing with it. I wanted to get a new Pocket PC, and it had been such a long time since I had owned one. The last one I had was an iPac. I don't even remember what it was. It was like the 3800 series, really, really old. So I am impressed with the new stuff they've got going on with Windows Mobile 2003. It's sweet stuff. So I've been playing with that.
That's very cool, and it's very appropriate for our show tonight. The guest is Dave Wecker, who's on the mobility team, and we're going to be introducing him in a bit. I spent the week editing the movie, doing the final edit, I might say, for .NET Rocks the movie. Finally got all the DVD stuff straightened out, and we have the
cool.
We're coming down to the wire. So it probably won't be very long before we have that movie ready. And we're also going to throw some bonus tracks on the DVD, and we got to get it mass produced and stuff. And it's going to be free, but there's going to be a charge for shipping and handling because we're not doing that. We're outsourcing that. So we want to make sure we're covering. And Data Dynamics is also stepping up to sponsor the production of that DVD. So big shout out to Data Dynamics. Thank you very much. And also, we're not done here announcing. We're also having a Code Magazine sponsored party for .NET Rocks listeners and previous guests at Mandalay Bay Resort or somewhere around there in Las Vegas, Saturday, November 6th. So it's going to be like an all-afternoon, all-evening kind of bash. We haven't nailed down the exact logistics of this yet, like which room it's going to be in, but Code Magazine has stepped up to say they'd sponsor the party. And it's just going to be a get-together for all our fans who want to just, a couple $100 ticket to Las Vegas is no big deal, round-trip ticket. Just come in, have a party, meet with us and meet with some of our guests, and there you go. So I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to both of those things. We may even show the movie there. That'd be fun. So we have some mail, a little bit of mail. First of all, I want to announce that I don't know if you ever played this game. It's a logic game called Sherlock by Everett Kaser.
No.
Go to www.kaser.com, Kaser.com. And Everett's this is a game, a logic game where you know those logic puzzles where you have like a grid, you have a matrix, and you have clues like this house is next to that house, and it has these characteristics, and this one is 2 spaces to the left of this house, and you have to find out what order they're in. Well, it's like that with visual icons of people and numbers and letters, and it's a very addictive game, and any programmer who's looking for some way to amuse themselves while listening to .NET Rocks, if they don't happen to be driving, should go check out this game, Sherlock.
Or working,
Yeah. Should go check out www.kaser.com and support him. It's pretty cheap, too. But anyway.
Cool.
So the first piece of mail is from Simon Littlehales from the UK, and he writes, Hi, Carl and Rory. I'm a total latecomer to the .NET Rocks radio broadcast, but having stumbled on it, I've been busy downloading several of your past episodes. It's a familiar story. The show is excellent. It could have been so dry and boring, but instead it's infused with humor and anecdotes. Hope you stick to the MP3 format, as it's much better than video. It's made my journey to work much more enjoyable, and I could even go as far to say productive. Very cool. Anyway, this is great. I was listening to your show on my iPod when my girlfriend Leslie asked what I was listening to. It was actually the September 2000 show with Juval Lowy. I don't think we were doing it in 2000, probably 2002. Show with Juval Lowy on Com Plus. To save face, I considered lying and saying Marilyn Manson or Aerosmith, but I thought she should really accept me for the latent geek I am. So I actually explained that Juval was talking about loosely coupled cued events. Seeing the blank expression on her face, I realized how submerged in crazy terminology us developers get. See, I said, you're none the wiser, are you? Just out of interest, what on earth did you think that means? She thought a moment and said, an orgy? So there you go. I think this new term should be picked up by the Complus community immediately. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. Look for your .NET Rocks lunchbox in the mail pretty soon. And Soren Lund says, hello, Carl, Rory, and Richard. Last night I listened to my first live .NET Rocks show, and I just have to make a post about it because the experience was so damn cool. The topic was about coding with least privilege, which I don't really see the point in being an ASP.NET developer and all, which is kind of strange because I thought we talked about that. Anyway, I even wanted to ask a question about that, but somehow it didn't make it through. I think he was just a bit late to the discussion, that's all. So here's my question again. Is my assumption that coding with least privilege is something primarily for WinForm programmers correct? Or am I missing the bigger picture? I hope that you can answer a question for me, even though it's a little late. And with ASP.NET, as Don was talking about, you have issues about being in the right user group. You have to be a member of debugger users. You have to be a member of Visual Studio users. You also may have issues in talking with SQL Server. It's actually more of a pain to develop with Visual Studio as a user and not an administrator than it is to develop Windows applications. With Windows applications, it's pretty straightforward. So anyway, go back and listen to that because, I think you did, Soren, come in a little bit late to the discussion and you missed that point. And Jason Ward says, hi, Carl and Rory. I just wanted to say first what a fantastic job you guys do every week. I started listening to DNR about a year ago, and I just can't get enough. Every week I listen to the show on my iPod when I'm commuting to work, And so far, I have every episode. Unfortunately, the time difference between London and the States doesn't allow me to listen to the show live, but I look forward to every Monday when I get my fix. Also, I have to give Rory my congrats for landing himself a job at Microsoft. I'm certain you're going to do a great job. I myself have been looking into getting a development position at Microsoft for quite some time now. And I'd really appreciate any tips you could give me on making it happen. And of course, if there's any Microsoft guys listening to the show tonight, please request a copy of this message be sent to you. Once again, great. So, Roy, what do you think? What's your tip for Jason on landing a job at Microsoft?
How to get a job at
Put up a blog, swear profusely.
Well,
talk about.
I'm looking back at the past year, and I'm trying to figure out how in the hell I've gotten any jobs ever. Period. And I think the first step is probably to find and I'm being serious here for once. The first step I would say is to find the job that you want and that actually makes sense for you, because I've been contacted before and I have been made aware of some cool job opportunities at Microsoft, but nothing that really fit the bill for me at the time. And I think that if you either wait or search for the position at Microsoft that really fits for you, then probably applying for it and just going through the interview process is the first thing you want to do. And then you learn something about the Microsoft interview process as well. So that's not such a bad way to do it. And if that doesn't work, then yeah, Carl's right. Put up a blog and swear a lot and draw totally incomprehensible comics. But,
there you go.
Yeah, be good at what you do. That's also helpful. They don't like to hire people who are like total amateurs at whatever the given position is, right? So
yeah. Well, and that's all for the mail, and now it's time for the news.
Now obey.
So, Roy, got some news for us this week?
I have some news. The news that got me pretty excited here first doesn't have a URL, so you're not going to be able to go and read about it. It's just a sort of general announcement. It's that Creative Zen portable media player has been released. So it's available for purchase at Best Buy and Fry's.
And what is this
one of
now?
those things that I got really excited about. It's the new portable media center. Just kind of like you got the media center that sits on your desktop, but this is the little tiny pocket one that you can take with you on the plane. It's got a 20 gig drive, which is good for something like 80 hours of video, I think, or something like that, which is more video. I mean, your battery is going to run out long before that's over.
How many
right?
ASCII art versions of Deep Throat can that hold, actually? I'm just curious.
Oh, dear. That was not one of the specifications listed on the website.
I'm sorry.
You could call customer support and ask about that. You could say, I've got this friend who just wants to know how many
never mind.
ASCII porns he could stick on his portable media center. Get it? Stick? Because it's ASCII. It's like stick. Never mind. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I'm excited about that. These things are going to be under $500, and they're available now. But Microsoft has been pretty clear that they are intended mainly for technology enthusiasts and early adopters.
In other words,
that's probably going to be me.
That's a disclaimer, meaning it's not always going to do exactly what you think it's going to do.
Well, I think what it means is it's going to be a little expensive at first because it's not quite as mass produced as they're going to be. I'm guessing that. This is the first wave of them. We've only got one on the shelves, so it's not as widespread. You don't have competing products, so you aren't going to get the benefit of having like dueling portable media centers. The one that's going to give you the better capacity, the better speed, the better whatever, the better battery life.
Yeah.
But I'm still excited about this enough. The first time I saw these, I just about wet my pants. So I'm excited about it. I love the idea of being able to take all my movies with me on the plane, especially now that I do a lot of traveling.
That's awesome.
So that's the first news item.
Cool.
The second news item is that Sun has released the Java 2 Platform Standard Edition version 5 release candidate. The URL for that is shrinkster.com/HV, just in case people like to check it out, because I always encourage people to take a look and see what's going on elsewhere. If you want to see some irritating syntax for attributes, for example, then this is a good place to look. The other thing that is really interesting about this is it's Java 2 Platform Standard Edition version 5. So they've got some really cool branding going on there that just doesn't make any flippin' sense at all, but I don't care. That's all
Java
right.
Java 2 version 5. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so Java 2 version 5.
Right, yeah.
And I liked it too when Java 2 was actually like version 1. Whatever it was. I forget. 1.2, that was Java version 2. It's been so confusing. All right, so that's shrinkster.com/HV.
Okay.
And the next news item is HP is releasing an iPod clone, which is kind of cool. So that's going to be shrinkster.com/HX. The only problem here is that because all they're really doing is licensing this sucker from Apple, you're not going to see any real competition. So they're just going to put their own really ugly case on the iPod. But at least we got it coming out from more than one vendor. So that's a step in the right direction, I think.
Cool.
But the one that I saw really was it looks sort of like somebody had run over a zebra. That's what the case looked like, which may or may not be your thing. I don't know. So that's all right. Finally, Miguel Diacaza has responded to the news about Longhorn, the delays, and also the fact that certain features are going to be backported to XP and 2003. The link to that post is shrinkster.com/HW. That's shrinkster.com/HW. And I think that's probably a good read for anybody who's interested in this Longhorn stuff, just because Miguel is not only a really intelligent and interesting guy, but also someone who's kind of on the outside. So he has a different perspective on all this from the rest of us. And that is the news this week.
Awesome, man. It's kind of a device-oriented news week.
Now obey.
Well, Rory, man, it's been quite a week. I've been looking forward to the show because our guest is Dave Wecker, whom I met out at the Tablet PC round table there, the trainer kind of the Tablet PC thing that I went to. Can't remember the name of the actual marketing term right now. But anyway, he spoke to us about some of the technologies that are there and available in the Tablet PC and where they came from. And in the course of his discussion, he started talking about some of his visions of the future about where the tablet's going with speech recognition, with handwriting recognition, and some people who are doing some interesting things right now that just absolutely blew me away. He was a very dynamic speaker. Looking at his resume is like reading an adventure story for nerds. It's like and I'll just read a little bit of what he sent me here. He says, I started out in 1973 in Miami doing payroll systems before going to CMU for a BSEE. And by the way, filled with acronyms. This is filled with acronyms. Some of these I don't even understand.
Bovine spongiform encephalopathy?
Yeah,
isn't that BSE?
Right. I knew that one. I worked through school in the AI labs at CMU, focusing on ASR, then Mellon Institute on industrial systems before grad school, CMU MSIA/MBA. During that time, I interned at Mitsui in Tokyo and Westinghouse in Pittsburgh in corporate planning. Next, I went to work in D.C. as an international business consultant in China, India, and Nigeria before moving to DEC, where I spent 13 years. I participated in a wide range of projects, including compound documents, CDSS, or is that 55? No, I think that's SS. Adaptive DB for performance, Diddly, DIDDLY, Video Telcon, VTEL, Igor, IGOR, many demos at shows, 2,000 plus in 2 years. Listen to this. I ported Ultrix to the Alpha, RT audio handling for X Windows, and founded the ASR group at CRL. And we're going to have to find out what that is. I was the only engineer in the history of DEC to win the Marketing Excellence Award, and that's pretty obvious when you hear how enthusiastic he is. I came to Microsoft in 1995 and helped create the quote-unquote blender. I designed and started implementing a broadband MSN offering when I was asked to join the new CE group, where I was architect for the HPC V1 and V2, as well as AutoPC V1 and PPC. I don't know if that's PowerPC, PPC V1. I was also dev manager. I moved to IIT and resurrected SHRDLU for the NL research, as well as building a state-of-the-art NN-based ASR system. I warned you about this. I was then asked to come back to CE to manage sync and wireless efforts. I worked on a next-gen technology for MDD before moving to ebooks, where I implemented secure DRM on PPCs, the black box. I created and was director of e-periodicals before taking on the role of architect for emerging technologies. In this role, I've had many responsibilities, including getting the GM-MS Microsoft relationship off the ground. I currently work for Mobile Platforms Division as an architect. I have 13 patents from Microsoft and 8 Ship It awards. When I'm not working, I enjoy fly fishing, telemark skiing, scuba, and woodworking, and reprogramming the house my wife and I built about 4 years ago, completely fly-by-wire. We've been married for over 20 years, and I also enjoy writing code for fun. I work here because I love what I do. How's that? Is that just like an incredible story? Please welcome Dave Wecker.
That really
Hi, guys.
is something, yeah. Cool.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I have
Hey,
got to
Dave.
rewrite that.
Okay.
I've never read it aloud. I'm getting rid of every acronym next time around.
There was only actually a couple that I... there was only actually a
PPC
couple.
was Pocket PC, but
Okay.
you just got a new one.
All right. Okay.
The rest of them, most didn't matter. It's okay.
ASM?
Oh, ASR,
ASR,
automatic
yeah.
speech recognition.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Okay,
And
cool.
CRL was the Cambridge Research Lab for DAC. That was their research arm.
So it was really a fascinating talk. You were talking about microphone arrays, and I remember one conversation you were talking about somebody who's working on separating. And Jeff, you'd be interested in this: separating sources in a stereo field and isolating them, and into single mono wave files that don't have anything else but that one source in them.
Right.
And I thought that was absolutely phantasmic, amazing, whatever. And I guess it's like top secret. We can't really talk about that.
No. Some of the basic stuff, are the idea of speech recognition is a great idea, but it doesn't do much good if there's plenty of noise around. It's mixed with all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Especially since everybody doesn't really like wearing headsets. You'd like
Right.
to have the mic nowhere near you.
Right.
So can you use multiple microphones and other techniques to figure out who's speaking and just pass that data on to the system?
Right.
And so, if you think about it, it's the cocktail party problem. You go to a cocktail party, you're able to focus on one person, and you can pick up that person and kind of tune out the rest of it. Well, computers can't do that, but we'd like to.
And people are making progress.
Well, I have a
Oh, yeah.
question here, real quick, Dave. Where is it that computers can't do it, or we just don't know how to do it? I mean,
we don't
what's
know.
the
It's
problem
obvious
exactly?
that
Why
they
does
could.
why
If
is it
people can do it, they should be able to.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Mhm.
more the case of
Okay.
it's either we know how to do it, but take the ridiculous amount of CPU to do it, so you can't afford to do it.
Okay.
Or in some areas, we just don't know how to do it, and we have some ideas, but it's one of those areas that progress is being made, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking for like a stopgap measure, kind of.
Well, any improvement helps. I mean, if you buy any of the tablets
Mhm.
today, at least 2 or 3 of them have microarrays built in already.
Let's define what that is.
Okay.
Well, a microarray is using more than one microphone, so you can form a beam. If you think about it, let's say you had 4 microphones in a row, you could delay the input coming to each one of them and then combine it. What you get is just like you had a parabolic mirror. You can focus in on a single spot. So if you're speaking in front of the tablet, any other sound from anywhere except that gets muted way down. And as soon as you do that, you can now pull the one voice out, even if there's lots of people or lots of noise going on in the same area.
It's weird because when I think of more microphones, I think of more noise, not less noise.
Well,
But the idea is that you can focus the mic where the person
Exactly.
is, not
Exactly.
yeah.
and the more mics, and depending on how far apart they are, the better you can do.
Sure.
So the initial systems are using 2 microphones because there are a lot of stereo chips available, so it's easy to get 2 inputs. The next breakthrough will be going to 3 and 4 microphones.
I imagine 3 would be a magic number there, right?
It actually is, because you set them up an angle to each other, one on one corner and then the 2 others off the other direction, because then you can steer up, down, and left and right. What that also lets you do is lay the device like a tablet down in the middle of a conference table and change the steering for whoever's speaking. So then the system will be able to figure out who the person is, ID them, and focus out everybody else but the person who's speaking. Think of that for voice IM or voice chat.
What do the tablets do with mic arrays? Are they just simply stereo inputs right now, or is there any actual intelligence behind them?
Oh, there's a lot of intelligence behind it, but it is stereo input, but then they take those 2 signals and they do a lot of signal processing on the back end. So they actually do a very good job. If you get to play with 2 examples would be the Toshiba or the motion computing unit. both have the stereo mics or the mic arrays in them. And I know today I was doing my email with a motion machine sitting on my lap without using a headset, and I was able to dictate all my mail today with no problem.
So what do you do anything with the speech server, Microsoft Speech Server and the SDK?
Not too much. I mostly work on the client side.
Okay.
I know most of the guys over there, and there's a lot of great technology that's going out the door and has gone out the door. But I've focused more, since my background was in the little devices, the CE devices at the company, and now on things like laptops and tablets. I've been focusing more on what can we do on the client.
And well, what can you do on the client? Let's talk
Well,
about that.
the full speech system runs there. I mean, when you get Office or tablet running, they all come with the speech system available. And all you've got to do is go into the control panel, train up a speech profile, just go to speech in the control panel, and the best thing is to plug a microphone in that is a good headset, and you'll be surprised at how much you can do. You can do dictation, you can do control of the system by voice. Like I said, in the evenings, I do my email almost completely by voice.
And you dictate your replies and stuff, too?
Exactly.
And it deals with your acronyms and all that stuff?
Well, actually, it does. There's a research project that will be coming out sometime in the future, I'm assuming. Let's put my disclaimer on there. That reads all your email before it sets up the speech running.
Oh.
And it figures out all the acronyms and the names of people you use and their email addresses and everything else. So
Sweet.
it adds it to the grammar. And so not just the standard, 50,000 or 100,000 word dictionary, it also throws in a tailored grammar specifically for you. And it's amazing. I can sit there and just say the name of an email alias, and it gets it right, puts in the full email address for me.
Wow. That is cool.
Toys are good.
So did you have anything at all? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have anything at all to do with Microsoft Voice Command, the program for the Pocket
I
PC?
work with the
because I
team
just picked
really
that up
closely.
today.
That whole team actually are all good friends of mine. And in fact, I had lunch with the product unit manager for that product today. And I use it on my smartphone. I use it on my Pocket PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it too. I love it.
Yeah, I had never seen it before today, and I saw the reviews for it. People saying things like, I've never had voice recognition software that worked this well before, where I didn't have to train it. It just worked flawlessly right out of the box. And then I picked it up, I plugged it in, and I just said to my phone, call Corey, and bam, it just called Corey. I didn't have to train it. It understood the first time. It was very nice. And then I started telling it what numbers to dial. I was very impressed.
What's
There's
amazing
a lot of really cool
is
stuff
that's
coming out of
actually
Microsoft
the same
right now.
engine that's on the desktop.
Wow.
The same speech engine.
Really?
We've cut the grammar down, some of the size, but it's actually the same code running that's on the desktop, fitting in your little smartphone or your Pocket
That's really
PC.
cool. Huh.
Rory,
This is what
does,
you
that
get
is
from
really
having
cool.
a platform, right?
yeah, right. Rory,
Yeah.
does your new smartphone have voice command?
It's a Pocket PC phone, and I bought Voice Command for it about 4 hours ago,
Oh.
and installed it and got really excited. So,
Ooh.
so
The other
it's
fun
brand
thing
new to
is-
me, and I hadn't bought. Yeah,
I don't know how much
Go
music
ahead.
you're going to
Sorry.
put on the Pocket PC, put some storage on it, but it's great for
Mhm.
picking out tracks and specific albums and artists by voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that listed in the help file, and that sounded pretty cool. Where you can even ask it, what song are we listening to? Pretty much.
you
who
can.
wrote it?
Yep.
And I so that's pretty incredible. I thought that was great. I think it's so cool that I have that on my phone, and I'm going to be able to go on the airplane or something, or not on the airplane, but get in the car or just go somewhere and start talking to my Pocket PC. I think that's great. I think that's incredible. People will think I'm crazy, but I'm going to be having a really good time. So
Hey, Dave,
that's cool. Kudos.
We have these devices. Rory was talking about some in the news, and I have an iRiver, and I have a Archos multimedia, jukebox that has a 20 gig hard drive built in, and yet you have these iPacks that have like no storage, and either that or really expensive electronic storage. What's the deal there? I mean, why the disconnect? Why not have mini hard drives in these things? And are we going to have them soon?
Well, there's nothing that prevents it, first of all. I mean, CE supports, the drives. There's no reason you can't do it. That's the first thing. And we don't build machines. The manufacturers do.
Sure.
Right. So the platform allows for it. And if someone wants to build, let's say, a 20 gig music player that's also a Pocket PC, there's no reason they can't. In fact, Portable Media Center you mentioned at the beginning is a good example, because here's something designed to do lots of storage. It's built on CE. It does video, and class of product. Pocket PC was always viewed as the product that's more, information access, getting at data quickly, and would play music, but was never built as a music device to start with. Now, that's going to change probably, you'd think, with all the other devices out there that have become popular. On the other hand, I have a Pocket PC that I've got several gigabytes of electronic storage on, and I use that, when I go work out for my music player.
Right.
And now, actually, I've switched over to a smartphone with a gigabyte on it, and I listen to music. I can read my mail because it's coming down synchronized on that, and I even have my workout program and everything else on there.
So why do you think these companies, Compaq and all these guys, don't have? Does it take too much power?
No, it's just, do they see the market, and is that something that they think is the right way to do it? It's a personal decision by each of these companies what they want to build.
Yeah, I guess so. It just seems weird to have two classes of devices about the same size, one that plays music and the other that plays some music, but the music one has all the storage, and I guess, but it'd be nice to see them come together. Have you seen these micro drives? I think it's Toshiba or one of these companies is making these. Yeah, IBM.
The 1-inch drive?
Yeah.
Yep.
4 gig drives.
Mm-hmm.
You think those are going to make it into Pocket PC someday?
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we've always had the compact flash version from IBM.
Right.
And those, were popping in. Now, no one, of course, makes compact flash slots anymore.
Yeah.
On the Pocket PCs. They've all gone to SD.
Yeah.
But when we had compact flash for those years, you could buy a hard drive then. In fact, I still have a few of them. So, it's back to what do they think people want and what are they going to build. I think the 1-inch drives are interesting more for, smaller music players. Like, does everybody need 20 gig?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, a few gig, like for me, would be plenty for what I keep on it. And it might be less power, it might be a smaller unit, it just might be an interesting proposition. So I think the drives are interesting, yeah.
Cool.
Well, also just cost. I mean, if you want to keep the unit at the size of a Pocket PC, with the screen and with the buttons and with the battery and with this and with that, you would basically have to go with a microdrive, wouldn't you? And microdrives aren't cheap.
No, and that's the problem. In fact, all drives, there's like a floor to what drives cost because of the mechanics and everything else. It's not really the amount of storage. So whatever the small drive is, it's going to add to the price of the unit, and it's a fairly significant price once it makes it to retail. Right.
Yeah, and also they seem to have, well, I don't know if that's because of the technology or the market, but they seem to be, 4 gigs is about it. But, flash memory is expensive too. So
very.
It's just smaller, and I would imagine consumes less power. But
great deal less, plus very little to read.
Yeah.
And it's faster access times as well.
Yeah. So where does your day and the programmer's day, or what you think about all day and what programmers think about, intersect?
Well, I haven't written any code for work for quite a while at this point. This is, I think, what they call leverage, right?
Right.
I give advice all day.
You've done your coding, though. I mean,
well, I still code. I know I like to, but do I have code running in a shipping product that's going out in the near future? No.
Was there anything that I missed in that history of yours that was particularly significant as a coder?
Let's see. When the handheld PCs and Pocket PCs and all that came out, I wrote the mail system with another guy. In fact, that's when, in those days, no one thought anyone wanted to do mail on a handheld PC.
Right.
At that point, the old HPs had, a mail package, but no one ever used it.
They were still thinking electronic faxes back then.
Exactly. And so we did a final review with Bill for the handheld PC, and he looked at it and he said, there's no mail. And the marketing guy says, yeah, we don't need it. Bill says, you don't have mail, it doesn't
fired.
ship. And then they came back and said, what are we going to do? And I said, you give me the other guy and leave us alone for 2 months and you'll have mail.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Great.
So,
what a story.
I wrote that. A lot of the stuff I write is, if you will, pre-production, prototype or demonstration of an idea.
Like R&D kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do a lot of R&D and a lot of handing code to the product group to say, start with this.
Wow, that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, well, it's
I like
fun.
that. Sure. Yeah, that's right. Because you don't have to worry about the details. You work at the creative edge.
Well, but the details, I mean, I'm an architect. What an architect does is try to look at the larger picture
Right.
and figure out how the pieces are going to go together.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my time is taking the individual pieces and making sure they're going to come out together at the end.
Very cool. Very cool. So what do you see as some of the directions that mobility is going to take us in the future? I mean, put your wizard hat on here and speculate a little bit for us.
Well, in fact, I had a debate on this today at work. It's one of those things where you sort of know what people want, but it's hard to figure out how to deliver it for the whole industry, not just for us. People want high mobility. They want a device they can have with them all the time.
Right.
They also want the PC. They want that generality. They want to have all the things, Windows brings to them. Then again, they want consumer electronics, right? They want it not just portable, but never have to think about it, never have to learn anything. Your phone is a good example. So smartphone is an example of moving that phone up the chain, right? So it does more for you, but it's still an awfully good phone. On the other hand, you look at the PC, there are more and more small PCs and things coming down, for laptops and tablets that you can use in more and more places. So we're extending the PC more into the areas of having it with you most of the time, taking the devices with you all the time and making them more useful.
Yeah.
And hopefully they meet somewhere. That's what I'm trying to see happen.
Yeah. And so the speech stuff is obviously going to get more intense for tablets. You really see tablets as the sort of the where that thing is heading as opposed to the Pocket PC. The Pocket PC to me seems very specialized. It doesn't seem like it can be all things because it's small and
they're totally different things. Really.
Sure. Well, sure.
Right.
And I see the tablet PC as being more universally adaptable to different things, where the Pocket PC seems to be more data entry, kind of take it on the road with you stuff.
Yeah. But as you start getting to smaller devices, the problem becomes one of how do you interact. You can put a keyboard on a Pocket PC.
Yeah, but
it's not going to be on there all the time. You can put thumbboards on it, but it's hard to get the data in.
Yeah.
You can use various techniques. You could try a little laser projection keyboard, but
like barcode readers.
Right, and you don't have right. You can do all sorts of things, but it's hard to get the data in. And when you get too small, then it's hard to get the data out. It's hard to see the display. You try browsing the web on a small device. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, that's why I brought up barcode readers, because that seems like a perfect way to use the Pocket PC. It's like you aim, point, press. Right,
and those exist. RFID readers will be coming. All of that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the reason I like speech is when you have a keyboard works really well. Let's be honest. You can learn it quickly. You can use it. You can get the data in fast. It's still not as fast as speech, but speech, by definition, isn't 100% correct, even if we did everything right. And the keyboard, if you type it right, it goes in right, you're done. So, I don't see in the office everybody sitting there dictating to their machine.
Right.
But when you make these machines mobile, the keyboards become harder to use, if they even have a keyboard, and getting the data in becomes difficult.
Right.
And so, be it a very small laptop or tablet, or be it a Pocket PC or a smartphone or anything like that, speech becomes more and more useful as well as required.
So what kinds of applications besides dictation do you see speech sort of taking over in the first? Because it really hasn't taken off. I mean, speech is... Yeah, it requires a lot of tweaking. It requires a lot of work right now to get anything decent, and it's still not 100%. Where do you see, when the technology comes and it becomes drop dead easy, where do you think will be the first sort of market to take over?
Well, I think a couple of things. As a side note before I answer it is, I think that when you look at speech, you've got some problems with expectation. Turns out speech systems are a lot better than you think. They're actually as good or pretty equivalent to handwriting recognition, for example. People use handwriting on their tablets all day, and they love it. They use speech, And they say, well, it doesn't work that well. But if you look at the actual errors, they're about the same. Problem is when you write something, people assume nobody can read it. I'm the only one who can read my own handwriting.
Huh.
But everybody understands you when you speak. Problem is it's just as hard to do either for the computer. So you write something, it gets it right most of the time, or more like 90-some-odd% of the time, and you think, this is amazing, this is wonderful. You speak to it, it gets it right 90-some-odd% of the time, which means it misses 1 out of 10 words. And, this is terrible.
Right.
The most problem you have are people who have really good handwriting. They can't understand why the tablet doesn't recognize them well. Because it turns out it's just as hard, no matter what. So it's just an interesting human expectation item about how well we think it works versus how well it actually works. Now, back to where would you use it? The main problem with speech is a socialization problem. I can't use it in many places. It's not socially acceptable.
Yeah,
so
that's
then
true.
Then the question is, where is it acceptable? Where do you expect it to break through? I mean, I had one of the first auto PCs, which had speech recognition in it. And it was wonderful. I could be going down the road and I could command the system. I didn't have to take my hands off the wheel. I didn't have to do anything other than tell it what I wanted. And automotive applications is definitely one area where you're going to see a lot of things happen, and already are happening.
Now, you had your a hand in the auto PC development, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I was the architect.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, Auto PC, Pocket PC, handheld PC. Blame me if you don't like them.
So what happened?
Nothing. We have a very strong automotive group, and they're doing a lot of work. And there's a lot of things coming out from there.
But Auto PC, it was the Clarion one has been out for a long time. It didn't seem to catch on. Mm-hmm. What do you think happened there?
Oh, the problem, the automotive industry is very slow to adopt things.
Yeah.
Even from the time they say yes, it's 5 to 6 years before you see it in new cars.
Okay.
So we have automotive, for instance.
It was like 5 years of no steering wheel, for example, and then finally.
That wouldn't be good, exactly. It's been there already, right? But for instance, a BMW 7 Series has Windows CE in it.
So
now,
it has
it's not the automotive layer on top. They did their own layer on top for that specific model.
Okay.
But we're actually in a large number of vehicles. Large number of the Japanese vehicles. In Japan, we actually have an entire automotive system that's running in several different manufacturers' cars. In Europe, there's a number of things coming, and have already shipped.
Okay.
So the answer is it's coming, but it takes a long time. And
so
it's been
still,
about 5 years since we started.
Right. It's still coming. So tell us what the Auto PC is then, for those who don't know.
Think of it as a system that sits in the car. It's in your dash. And the problem is, again, it's a platform. How do you describe a platform, right? Just like the rest of Windows. So being a platform, it can have a single line display or a full graphics display. It may have speech input, it may not, There are a bunch of basic applications like navigation that come with the platform. Radio, DVD or CD handler, on and on.
And email too, right? Internet access.
Oh yeah. Basically, think of taking everything you've got in the Pocket PC, but making it friendly to the car, making it reliable for the car, all those sorts of things. It also is hooked into the diagnostic bus in the car. It can tell you when things are wrong in the car.
And it uses a speech synth to do that, right? Speech synthesizer?
For the speech, there's microphone for speech. It does cell phone also, by the way.
Cool.
You have GPS, cell phone, all of that integrated in that platform.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing that that hasn't been a geek toy,
Well, it is, but aftermarket, it's kind of hard to hack your car, or it's kind of a pain. And what you really want to do is be able to buy the car with it there to start with,
that's
and
true.
support it, and all of that.
That's true.
So it's coming, but it takes a while for the industry to adopt.
Okay, yeah, I was very excited about it, and then you just don't hear anything about it. You don't hear that it's available. You don't hear people putting them in, and so. Yeah. Wow, congratulations on that, though. That sounds very cool. And what I meant by a speech synth is that I heard that when you're checking your email, for example, you'd say like next, and it would just read using a speech synthesizer.
Synthesizer. I'm sorry, TTS. Text-to-speech.
Text-to-speech.
There I go with acronyms again. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it does have a text-to-speech system. And by the way, that's also built into the tablet and laptop, desktop systems as well.
From Jenna at Asian So from Jenna at AsianLoveBabes.com.
Exactly.
Subject, hello.
It's also amazing to hear some of the strides that are being made in text-to-speech. There's some systems now that are coming out of the labs that will be going into the actual product that you can't tell it's text-to-speech. It's amazing.
I have heard some incredible TTS systems.
Mm-hmm.
The one that comes with the tablet is just sort of standard generic stuff.
Yeah, the new ones that I'm talking about aren't out
but
yet.
These are,
they're not available.
I've heard some incredible things that I really couldn't tell. And I've heard some things on the web. There was like a website or something, wasn't there, Rory, that you could like type in some text and it would make a web.
Chris Sells had linked to it, and you would type in a sentence or two, and you would select like the Scottish woman, or you would select the French guy, or you would select the American accent or the Southern American accent.
It made an MP3 for you.
They weren't all perfect, but some of them were just extraordinary. I really couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was so above and beyond Dr. Spatzo that I was really impressed. I mean, it was way past that.
When do you think?
Hello, I am Dr. Spatzo. I'm here to help you. You remember those days?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I was just taking a walk down memory lane there, but yeah, it was really cool.
My daughter's still using a speech synth in her school, and she imitates it with great jocularity. All right. Well, anyway,
you haven't lived. You've heard Tom Lehrer albums being done by Deck Talk.
Oh no.
Poisoning pigeons in the park.
Will you still love me when I'm old and gray?
Exactly.
Didn't think I knew any Tom Lehrer, did you?
Oh, I'm impressed.
Hey, so
I'm just old. That's okay.
When can we expect these new great TTS systems?
Oh, they're some are on the market. Some with us, it's when does it get integrated? At which point, I don't know the plans for the product groups, but these things are they're already being demonstrated publicly, so it's knowledge they're there. It's just, when do they become part of the server, part of the client? Those dates I don't know.
Man, you sound like you're having a great time at work.
Oh, always.
Absolutely. So, man, it must be just your house. You say you're rewiring your house. What does that entail?
Well, a few years ago, my wife and I decided to build, the house we always wanted. And for her, it's got the perfect kitchen. It's decorated good. For me, it's electronic. So I've got what have I got last time I checked? 3 miles of low voltage wire and 3 miles of high voltage wire in the house. There isn't a single light switch anywhere in the house. It's all run by computers.
So is this what is it, X10?
No, this is actually internal wiring throughout the house. The actual top end of the system is the Crestron house controller at top. There's a Lutron lighting system. There's all sorts of things in it.
You have the Jetson microwave converter transporter module. You have the
I must have OD'd on the Jetsons when I was a kid. The problem is you bring home, let's say, a new TV, and you can't use it because you got to wire it into the house, and you have to figure out how to reprogram the house to make the remotes work with it and everything else. It's a major decision for me. Like I was meeting with the head of Media Center the other day, and he wants me to put a Media Center in the house, which is a good idea. It's just I got to now block out the time to reprogram the house to use it. So there are pluses and minuses here.
Wow. And have you seen the X10 stuff? Or I guess what you have is so above.
No, I know.
That.
Sure, I know the X10 stuff very well.
Yeah. Hey, get Richard on the horn just for a second.
Yes.
Hey, Richard. You have X10 in your house, right?
Yes, I do.
And you were telling me that there's a problem with X10, like firecracker controllers that don't work across when you have to span a circuit.
Well, it's nothing to do with the firecrackers. It has to do with X10 in general. Just because X10 doesn't cross phases easily, you need phase couplers and so forth. But I showed you my solution to the problem with the big firewalls.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's got everything plugged into a switch. So, So that's kind of cool. So you have all your lights and stuff controlled with X10.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
He does. Richard does. And what you're talking about is something totally different, right?
Well, I've got 2 closets in the house that basically have dimmers for every light in the house, and that's electronically controlled from a system that then I have hardwiring throughout the house. So I've got a panel in the wall. I can turn any light on or off or dim it from anywhere in the house.
So you have like a private website where you're like in Barcelona and you like get on the web and turn your lights on and off and scare
I
people?
actually have the capability, but I've never hooked it in because I'm afraid of somebody getting in from the outside
really.
and hacking my house.
I saw that movie.
Yes. So I decided to disconnect that, right? But the rest of it, you know, from within the house, I've got all sorts of things. There's like one remote that runs everything in the house. You know, any of those remotes will run anywhere in the house.
Right.
And you'd have the lights and the security system and the music, you know, all the rooms and the TVs and everything else just run off of it. I like toys. I said that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We are toy boys here.
Exactly. And, of course, there's the 802 network, you know, through the house and then broadcast into the backyard so I can lay in the hammock and do work, you know. I'm also lazy.
Well, that's the motivating factor behind all these technologies, I suppose. And it's just very cool as a programmer. You know, I like to tweak things, but it seems like there's a whole bunch of programmable automation things that you can buy. During my last week's class, I went to x10.com and I had gotten this firecracker thing that you can send it commands through the serial port. And some guy, and basically the firecracker is an X10 controller that connects to your serial port, and it uses RF frequencies to talk to transponder modules that turn lamps on and off, and, you know, electrical switches and things and dim lights. And so while they were working on a project, I went and I Googled because I heard that somebody had written a .NET wrapper for X10 firecracker control. So I Googled it, downloaded it, installed it, and within 5 minutes I had a program with a button that turned the light on and off. It was great. It's just one of those things, you know. I'm a VB programmer. I draw a button on a form. I click, the light goes on. I click again, the light goes off. You know? Does it get any better than that? So back to the tablet piece.
What's the code like for that? Is it like dim my lamp is
No,
lamp?
it's X10 open, you know, whatever, send command, and then there's a list of there's an enumeration basically where you just pick the command that you want to send. You know, lamp on,
I was
lamp
just
off.
jabbing you. I was just joking with you. Where you have to put my in front of everything.
Oh,
dim my lamp.
Yeah.
Dim my this thing. Dim my that thing.
Dim my house. Dim my brain.
Oh, that's a good call because it's a lamp. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm sleep deprived.
Yeah. Okay.
But as you were saying this, the sun's going down, so the lights in the room just started coming up.
Well, anyway, Dave, this is a good time to pause and do a new bit. You can stick around for this. We officially are launching tonight without music. We usually have theme music for our bits, but music will ensue next week when we get the necessary clips from Rory. And this is called Ask Rory. And Rory, why don't you just go ahead and take over? Take it away.
Okay, so Ask Rory is a new segment we're doing, and I'm not going to explain it every single show for the next 20 shows the way I did Google Weirdos every single show for the first 50 shows or whatever it was. I'm just going to explain it once, and we'll have it on the site. So Ask Rory is a new segment that Carl introduced last week where you send your questions in to me, and they can be about anything, remember? Because like I mentioned last week, I'm living with my ex-girlfriend, and I like to think I know something about relationships. I've dropped out of several schools so I can give you educational advice. I know a thing or two about life, and I'm here to help you with any problem that you might have. And I actually got quite a few letters this week, and it was tough for me to decide which ones to pick. So eventually I just threw choice out the window and just grabbed the first two that I received.
Okay.
And the first one I'm going to read is from, I don't know how to pronounce the last name here. We got Dan Krala, Krhla. Krala. Oh, okay. Well, maybe there's a vowel missing there somewhere. It's or an invisible vowel. It's kind of like a silent letter, but it's invisible instead. Maybe I don't know. Okay, so here's his question. Hello, Rory. I have 2 cans of gasoline, a garbage can, matches, and a metal pot for a helmet, of course, and I want to make a rocket ship. Please advise. What I would like to say, Dan, is that first of all, you've got a good start. Okay. I kind of see where you're going with this, and I would say that your heart is in the right place. The problem is, where's the brain, right? You've got most of the supplies you need. You're missing something though. You need at least 1 or 2 cold beers to go with this set of devices here. Now, the way you build a rocket with 2 cans of gasoline, a garbage can, matches, a metal pot for a helmet, of course, a rocket ship, and 2 cold beers, is you find out where the person who orders new rockets to be built from NASA lives, and you go to that person's house, and you take the gasoline and pour it all over that person's mailbox, then you light the mailbox on fire. When they run outside, you put the garbage can over your head and you sneak across the lawn. Okay, now you jump through the window using the garbage can as a shield for your body. You make your way over to this person's computer, you turn it on, and using InfoPath, you quickly and easily fill out a purchase order for a new rocket ship. Then you sign it as the person who is out front. Okay, now what's going to happen? He's just going to come running back inside as soon as he hears the glass break. So what you have to do, you got to be ready behind the door with the pot that you were going to wear on your head, and you got to smack him over the back of the head with it. That's going to knock him out, okay? Now, you're going to be feeling pretty bad about this, but you're also going to be happy because you know your rocket ship is on the way. So you're going to want to sit down, drink a nice cold beer, drink another nice cold beer. You're going to be feeling pretty good, got a little buzz going, head home and wait for the rocket to be delivered. That's how you build a rocket using the that's how you build a rocket using the supplies you provided. So, like I say, I'll advise you on anything. Relationships, weird rocket crap.
Oh, man.
Now, the second one I've got is from Brian Kuhn. Now, I love this guy. He's been a long-time listener, and he shows up at the events and everything, and he's fun to hang out with. He gave me a cool 2600 shirt down at TechEd, and he also happens to have written some good questions. So his first question is, I am in charge of the data and presentation of our websites. At least twice a week, I receive a manila envelope in the inner office mail. Inevitably, inside the envelope is a third-generation photocopy of a fax document that has had coffee spilled on it. Attached to this document is a Post-it note with these words, "Hi, can you post this on the web for me?" No signature or identification of the mailer. So his question is there some port on the web servers that I am unaware of that accepts paper documents? I'm sure that something must have happened to the original file they printed this document from. Otherwise, they would have realized that they would need to email me with the information in a digital format as opposed to mailing it to me as a physical document. I tried putting it on the CD drive, but all that happened was the document caught on fire. Okay, so Brian, here's the way this works. All right, your question is, essentially, is there some port on the web servers that you are unaware of? That accepts paper documents? And the answer is no. The problem is actually not with your servers, okay? On a lot of different life forms, we have this thing called the alimentary canal. This is typically where waste is excreted from the body. Now, this is the port you're looking for. When these people come to you with these stacks of paper, you need to roll them up and you need to say, oh, these go in the alimentary canal, but these servers don't have an alimentary canal. Can I shove this up your alimentary canal? Okay? And you just kind of work with it from there.
Sweet.
So that's where those papers go. Now, the next question is, if you and Carl were to compete in a bare-knuckle boxing fight, who would win? And you didn't actually specify whether or not Carl would be conscious. If Carl were conscious, this would kind of change the dynamic of everything, as he would probably just pummel me into a small little, lump of mush, which is fine. And I'm not just saying that because, like he's the boss or whatever. I'm saying that because I really honestly think that Carl would kick my ass in that particular fight. If we were unconscious, though, I like to think that I could probably take Carl. So that's the answer to your second question, Brian, and thank you very much for writing in, and I hope to get more questions from people for next week's Ask Rory.
Very, very good, man. Very good. Yes, some applause from the peanut gallery here. Wow, I don't know what to say.
Was I talking too quickly? Sometimes
No.
I feel like I've got a 78 RPM mouth attached to a 33 RPM brain.
That's quite all right, my friend.
Okay.
Beautiful. And stick around while we pay the bills and play some music, and what can I say? We'll be back on the other side of the hour. This is Rory Blythe's song here called, what's this called, Rory?
First song. Don't ask me why.
Great.
waiting is done. I only know that you'll be back when I want or when I demand it. When I'm old and gray and I have my day, I don't want to leave here empty-handed. Christmas comes around, here comes the summertime, crying in the life of a long-time friend. She's been gone and she's never coming back again. One last look, but it'll never be enough. I was there when you arrived, but I didn't see you go. I didn't get a message, didn't find a wanted note. You came the way you entered, silent through the door. God, what I give for another minute more. And waiting and crawling and begging and beating your door. And your door. And your
Got to thinking that it just doesn't matter, baby. Got to thinking that we're all alone. Got to find a way to reconcile this problem. Got to find a way to make it home.
Hey, Carl here. I'm encouraging all my listeners to go to www.datadynamics.com and check out activereports.net and a lot of the other software that Data Dynamics provides for developers. They've been a great sponsor of .NET Rocks and .NET Rocks Movie for quite a long time. They're really involved in supporting the community, and they have great products. ActiveReports.net is their flagship product. Well, one of them anyway. If there could be many flagship products, it's one of their best. And it's basically, if you want reporting servers, you use something like Crystal or SQL reporting services. But if you want to create reports, rich reports, and just embed them in your ASP.NET or Windows Forms applications and have them work, spit out PDF, HTML, whatever, ActiveReports.net is for you. Great stuff, integrates nicely into the Visual Studio environment, and it isn't going to cost an arm and a leg. I love it. My friends like it. The MVPs and RDs that I work with love it. Go check it out.
Always searching for some deep and amazed every day. And on a clear night, I can see my brothers. On a clear night, the elders in the sky beckon to me with some strange communication, and I can hear them. I can hear them. Oh yeah. Oh, I can hear them. Call my name. Call my name. Don't have to say a word, just call my name. Call my name. Call my name on a clear night. Call my name. Yeah. Call my name. Call my name. Call my name.
There you go. That was a title track from Jay's and my debut album, Strange Communication. And, music is fun for me. It's not my career, but certainly is fun. And I enjoy it. And Rory, too. So we like to showcase our tunes on the show. Why not? It's my show. It's Rory's show. What the hell? So, hey, guess what time it is, man? It's time for the Weird Wide Web with our friend Kirk Webb.
Utterly amazing.
Horrible.
Kirk, how you doing, man?
We're doing good. We're doing really good.
You've been very, very quietly hanging out in the studio during the whole first half of the show.
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to take it all in. It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah. And for those who don't know Kirk, he's a newcomer here on the show, and he's got a segment we call the World Wide Web with 2 Bs, the Weird Wide Web with 2 Bs. And he goes out and he finds weird websites and talks about them on the show. So, Kirk, what do you got for us this week?
Oh, we have a great one. Guys want to come along? It's Jay Maynard's Tron costume. Shrinkster.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's sweet. Shrinkster.com/HY. That's Shrinkster.com/Hotel Yahoo. And Jay Maynard's Tron costume, he spent a lot of time on this. He really did.
Oh, man.
There's a lot of pictures. It takes a little while to download.
I like
but
the profile.
If you just keep going down, he's very... Okay, wear a skirt or a belt or a pair of shorts or something, John.
He's got his long johns on. He's taking, pictures every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
His light, it lights up, too, the Tron
Yeah,
costume.
if you go down the bottom, once all the pictures load, it's
But the
it's
first
pretty
pictures
sweet.
look just like him in his long underwear.
This guy is fantastic. It took him a long time, too. That's wow.
I like the one that's close to the
That's
bottom.
so awesome. He goes grocery shopping in that.
Yeah,
That
right?
is so cool.
Oh, my God.
I love this guy. I mean,
Oh my god.
yeah, it just gets better.
I like
At the
like
bottom.
down here at the bottom. Lessons learned. Fabric paint is
Yeah.
a pain in the ass. Blah blah blah. But he doesn't mention I'm a total freaking dork. Now, if you also look at if you look at the very last photo, look at his package.
Yeah.
It is really well defined.
I was wondering
It's
if he
it's
has
really,
any lights
it's
for
just
that.
Sleazy.
How come he didn't light that up? That's what I'd like to know. That's awful.
Give it a little hat or something.
Hey,
That is so cool.
we're not ones usually to laugh at other people,
No,
but
by any means.
come on. I mean, sometimes you ask for it, Sometimes you just ask for it.
Comments are appreciated. He's got his email address down there at the bottom. We don't condone anyone.
For those of you who want to make your own
Comment.
Tron costume, but we didn't know quite how to go about
Yeah,
it.
you can ask him.
God.
He could let you know. Wow.
Oh, man.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What more can you say about that? I don't
done.
know what else to say, really.
Oh,
I love
okay.
that. I picked up this set of armor pieces in an eBay auction, man. You're the winner, man. I love that because they always tell you that in eBay auction. You won this one, and I don't know.
Yeah, I know you
What
want
do you
it.
think he paid for that? $6,000, $7,000? That's incredible.
I found out what's going on here. I went to the site and got rid of the Tron costume at the end. Went to the previous directory, and he's an IBM public domain software collection guy. He's got software for the 360, for the VM 370. Well, obviously that's what happened. I mean, just all that work with IBM time sharing systems just cracked his mind.
You got to give him credit, though. I mean, if you're going to do a Tron costume.
Dude, he's got a glowing Tron costume. I mean,
I know.
Come on.
Duh. How many guys in his chat room's got a glowing Tron costume?
And he painted it himself. But, with some advice, maybe cover up that package.
A kilt
Sal.
or something. A glowing kilt, pair of shorts. Wow.
Good Lord. Okay.
Let's hear it for John.
I love this. The comment in the chat room. Seeker just says, "Arg, I'm blind." I like that.
Oh, God.
All right. So anyway.
Okay, number 2. For all you Kenny Rogers fans, shrinkster.com /HZ. That's Hotel Zulu. And it's men who look like KennyRogers.com. Oh,
Lady.
Hall of Fame is my favorite, actually. Hall of Fame. This
Hall
also
of
takes a little
Fame.
while to load up, too. These guys are running them off their laptops.
Have you
or
noticed
something.
that a lot of men look like Kenny Rogers?
Well, it says "Powered by Macintosh" at the bottom. That could be something to do with why it's so freaking slow.
Yeah, they may just be the HTML generator. I don't know of any Macintosh web servers out there. Are there any?
They actually have something called web objects. Yeah, you can use the X server with web objects.
Okay.
And it's what Apple uses on their sites, and it's so incredibly fast that you'll have like 3K GIFs that can't even get pumped onto your machine
I'm
fast
waiting.
enough.
I'm still waiting.
It's aggravating.
So I'm looking at Silk Suit Kenny, number 9. Is that who you're looking at, or did they just pick random?
No, it's number 9.
I see. There's numbers up here. So like 1, 2.
Ooh, a link I didn't see. There's a recipe link to Kenny Rogers muffins down at the bottom.
Huh. Wow.
I wish this site would load just a little faster.
Wow, that's pretty scary.
This would be a lot more funny if it was faster.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's still pretty funny.
Okay, Kenny. All right, our third and final. Oh boy, and you guys think you were washing your eyes before. Ooh, this is shrinkster.com /I0. That's Indigo 0, and this is Joanna.
Oh God.
Alias Joe. This also takes a little while to load because of the pictures.
This isn't pornographic, is it?
No, I'm not I don't think so. But Joe likes to dress up in prom dresses. Yeah, and he looks fine.
Oh.
But he also likes food.
He?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's a he. I mean, if he's got an
goodness.
Adam's apple, he's got a banana too. So he wow. Yeah. Wow. It keeps going and going. Eggs and
So what is this? This is people who like to dress up and put food on themselves.
I found out that this is an entire subculture here. Dressy messies, basically guys who like to dress up in, attire and get messy.
That takes the cake for the weirdness.
Do they stand around and
day.
say, "I'm so dirty. I'm so messy.
Oh my goodness.
Look at me. I'm so messy. I'm so dirty." I
You
like
have
the
to
big
go
beans.
beyond. You have to go
way past. Down at the bottom,
Down at the
there's
bottom,
links to
there's
like
a
the
link.
next, successive galleries.
I'm up to gallery 119.
Ouch.
It's pretty.
It's getting pretty bad. He's on the floor now.
He's got Parmesan cheese on himself. And
Oh, where is it? My favorite.
Chocolate sauce.
He's got rice pudding.
Beans.
Rice pudding is good. Down
That's disgusting.
towards the end, he uses an entire tub of Hellmann's, and he shows everyone his dirty, messy shoes. You're a dirty girl. You're a dirty, dirty girl. Look at him. Wow.
Oh.
This is like borderline psychotic, though. I wouldn't say this is. That's odd.
Oh, well.
this guy's
So what
got
do you
a
do?
problem.
So what do you do Friday nights? Well, I dump Hellmann's tubs on my head while I'm
my
in a yellow prom dress.
Goodness. You just.
Now, I have nothing against alternative lifestyles. I am
It's
an
not always
alternative
a yellow
lifestyle,
prom dress
but-
because he's also wearing the short skirt here too.
Yeah, and
no.
I'll just say that too. I don't certainly have anything against alternative lifestyles, but that's just weird. That's a little weird.
Is that leather or chenille? What is that exactly?
That's not leather.
I
don't think
know.
you do this in a leather skirt anyway.
Yeah,
All right,
Is
I'm
that
done.
experience?
I'm done. This is
voice of experience.
that's
Rory.
too much.
Is that gonna be on your book?
That's just
Wow.
too much.
Goodbye, Joe. You're a dirty girl.
Utterly amazing.
That is utterly amazing.
Horrible.
We have perhaps reached a new low, and Don Kiley says that, who's listening. Yeah, that was just utterly stupid. Thank you, Kirk, though, for enlightening us with that. Any last words before we meet your microphone here?
I'm just here to help. That's it.
All right. And so with that, somehow we're going to bring back our guest, Dave Wecker, who's talking about speech technologies and the future of tablet PCs. I can't believe we're going from a guy who puts eggs on himself to back to this serious conversation, but there we are. Dave, you still with us after that?
I'm not sure. I'm sitting here following this on the web, and I think this is going to be hard to follow.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, it's a new bit.
It needs work. It's okay.
Anyway, we need a little relief once in a while, so there you go. Apparently this guy does too, in a big way. So what were we talking about before we were so rudely interrupted with all that silliness?
I think the future.
Yes. So let's put on our future wizard hats and you were talking about this, and I want to hear a little bit more about this. There was some company that is making this software that will split out different sources from a single stereo track and isolate things. And as being a recording engineer and a producer, I know the problem is, if you get a drum set and singers, in the same room together with microphones, they're naturally going to bleed into each other, and it's very difficult to isolate them. Mm-hmm. And so you know of some research that's going on, apparently, where somebody's working on this, like being able to really pick out and remove everything that's not a particular signal?
Sure. Well, got to be careful when I say sure. It's more the case of there are people working on it, and it shows promise.
Okay.
And, there's work going on at Microsoft, there's work going on in other places. But, I've seen demonstrations where, somebody had a CD with a singer, trumpet player, bass, and piano all going at once. Mm-hmm. And they were able to figure it out, characterize it, and then split out all four separately. And isolate the track. I mean, great for automatic karaoke, right?
Or a lot of things. Did they have the individual tracks as a reference?
No. This is just from the recording.
So on the fly.
Yeah, and basically, since it was a stereo recording, they could figure out what was coming in on each side and isolate them and figure out what was happening. Now, you can do a lot of things, if you want to think about it, is how your head works. Your ears get in these signals on each side of your head, and it compares them, and you're able to isolate yourself. That's what this software is doing. It's actually emulating what goes on inside the first few stages, behind the inner ear. And there's a lot of stuff that's starting to be done with biologically inspired systems that show a lot of promise.
Wow. Fascinating stuff. It's the first thing that people say when they bring me CDs to quote-unquote clean up. Mm-hmm. Can you take the background vocals out?
Exactly, yeah.
No. And these ads in the back of Rolling Stone that say remove vocals, from, that's like a phase cancellation trick that they do, right? Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure how they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are all sorts of signal processing techniques, more traditional techniques that do pieces of this, and depending on how many hints you have. But, the type of thing you want to be able to do is, if somebody's talking with a helicopter overhead going and you want to be able to hear that person, or even better, playing an Xbox game, doing Xbox Live, you got all the sound going on in the room, everything exploding.
Right.
And you want to be able to get your voice over the internet without all that.
Yeah.
But you'd rather not be wearing a headset and all the rest. You want to do this at full volume. These things are possibilities.
Something that really baffles me is how these, what do they call them? Headphones that do noise cancellation work. Mm-hmm. It's weird that you can put on something that is sending your brain amplified signals, and yet the perception is that there's less sound.
Right. Well, if you think about it, you have a sine wave coming in, And if you flipped it 180 degrees and combined it with the original, it goes to 0. So all you have to do is bring the audio to have a little microphone, bring in the audio that's coming to the ear, flip the phase, and combine it back, have a little speaker inside that plays to your ear just like the other sound, and all of a sudden you've just reduced the sound way, way, way down. And that's how they work.
So it's a phase cancellation trick.
That's
back,
all it
back
is.
to that thing.
Yep.
And but yet you hear so you hear the signal that's electronically coming from your machine or whatever it is, but the ambient sound gets canceled. That's really cool.
The two of them combine, and the trick is to know how it filters. If you're wearing the headphones, what the sound from outside getting through the headphones sounds like, so that when you combine it with something that sounds like, what it is inside the headphones instead of what it is outside the headphones.
Yeah.
And when you do it right, the problem is the original ones were too good.
Really?
And you couldn't hear anything.
Really?
And once you did that, it wasn't safe. Something happens, you don't hear it. People were having accidents and things.
Wow.
And so they make it so only specific frequencies are removed, or you take it the other way, leaving frequencies behind. So you wear one of these on an airplane, you can still hear the stewardess.
Yeah, and you can, in a noisy airplane, you can still hear the airplane, of course.
Right, but they remove the stuff that specifically makes you tired or fatigued. So they get rid of the frequencies that are more stressful to you and leave the ones behind, so you have a chance to hear what's going on around you when you want to.
The lower and upper mid-range frequencies in particular. Yeah. So how do neural networks play in the sort of the stuff that's going on with handwriting recognition and speech recognition, if anything?
Well, the handwriting recognizer actually has a neural net in it. And actually a lot of the cursive handwriting recognition is trained through a neural net. The speech recognition that most people ship today, there are a couple exceptions, do not use neural nets. I've actually built a system that was all neural net based for that. But the problem with a neural net is it's like using a shotgun. It's one of those things that it's really good, but it takes a lot of effort, and it's not tuned to a specific thing. It learns.
Right.
And so what it really is, if you want on one side the actual technique, it's a nonlinear regression that also learns the model as well as the parameters. Okay, that's my quick summary.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But it's not going to be as good as something handcrafted if you know how to handcraft something.
Right.
So in a lot of the cases, if you can do something that you can write a really optimized algorithm or heuristic to do, you're probably going to be better off. But there are lots of problems in computer science where we don't know how to do that. Or it's an NP-complete problem. We don't have a clue how to really solve it. Neural nets can do extremely well in those cases.
What did you just say, Rory?
You use more if statements.
Use more if statements whenever in doubt.
Yeah. That would be like a 1,000-branched if-then nest for some of that stuff.
You're like, if word looks like it might be an A, then maybe word C. I should be on that team. But
I'll give you an example where this actually worked really well. Oh, God, almost 15 years ago now. I worked at DEC, and I worked in the plant that built disk drives. And we found that before disk drives crashed, the signals to the head changed. I'm talking about days and even weeks before they crashed.
Wow.
And we found with a neural net we could characterize it and we could find out, so that we could actually tell the operator, you've got a disk drive that's about to crash sometime in the next week. Fix it or get rid of it now.
Even though you may not know what that signal means.
Right.
You know that
the
it's
neural
a
net
trigger.
figured it out by looking at lots of signals of systems that crashed and others that didn't. And we actually had like over 99% accuracy on telling you ahead of time a disk was going to crash.
That's great. And do they still use that technology in hard drives or software that monitors hard drives?
To be honest, I don't know. I've been out of it for 15 years.
Wow. So with the neural networks that are like in the handwriting recognition stuff, obviously some samples had to be taken. What are we talking about for sample data?
We are constantly gathering sample data. It's one of those things that is just ongoing, both in speech and handwriting. And the only way to make a system, better is by getting more and more data in. So in answer to it, we constantly are running the sample collection things, and we do it worldwide because people learn to write differently in school depending on how they were brought up. People learn, of course, speak differently depending on what part of the country they grew up in the U.S. or part of the world. And so the more data you get, the better you do.
Right. So how much data do we have for the handwriting samples?
I'll be honest, I don't know what we have on the handwriting side. On the speech side, which I used to do a lot of work in, one of the standard databases used to be the Wall Street Journal database. At the time, let's say even 10 years ago, that was 25 CDs worth of speech. Now,
Wow.
It's probably 100 times that, I would assume. And handwriting side, again, I don't even know what the size of the database is. It's massive.
One of the things that I imagine speech can really help out is translation, on-the-fly translation between, because it's really true that in dealing with, a lot of different cultures come into the high-tech world, and often, things are misunderstood, and it's very technical, and you have to absolutely understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk, you were telling me a story about somebody who would write application, or was it Dan? Dan was telling us about Dan Kroll, who was here last week. He was telling us about somebody he was working with who would write message boxes that say stuff like, "You have problem, fix now," or something like that. And they just had, and the answer to every question was yes, and followed by the last word of what the question was. So it would be like, "You're going to have that Friday?" "Yes, Friday." And then Friday would come and go. So, I can imagine that this is going to help out a lot. And I can't help but think, as I have thought many times during this interview, about Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you're a big Star Trek fan.
Of course.
My daughter is 8 years old. We're watching Voyager, and she says, how can they understand each other? How does this alien from another galaxy have a British accent?
This is the suspend disbelief part of the system, right?
Right. So do you think that eventually we may have these translators that sort of just listen to my headphones, and we'll communicate that way, or something?
Well, I actually like somebody on the chat just put up Babelfish, right?
Well, right. Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine, right? In terms of some automatic translation stuff, we actually do a lot of work in that area, especially on web pages, things like that on the tech side. Speech recognition, there's no reason. In fact, we also do a lot of things of identification. You start speaking, we figure out what language it is. We can do things like that.
Yeah, that's neat.
But, something like a universal translator requires us to read the brain waves and figure out what's common, and on and on and on, theoretically. I don't think I'm going to see it in my lifetime.
Yeah. That's quite a... what books are you reading these days?
Probably nothing that interesting. I finished off a couple of China Miéville novels, which I really liked. Sitting here behind me, let's see what I've got. It's got Imitation of Life, How Biology is Inspiring Computing, Brian Greene's Fabric of the Cosmos, and Think, the Emerging Science of Spontaneous Order. Now,
summer
it's
reading.
Kind of a heavy reading list.
I was going to say, that's your summer reading list.
Yeah,
right?
no, this is actually from a list that one of the senior people at Microsoft gave to Bill to read on his vacation. And he said, I might enjoy these as well, so figured what the heck, pick a few up and take a look. And actually, they're very good books.
You've mentioned Mr. Gates by his first name a couple of times. Do you work with him that closely?
I'd say we cross paths once every 6 months. That's probably a reasonable estimate.
Wow.
No, I think everybody says Bill or Bill G at work.
Oh, okay.
In that respect.
Yeah.
I like my interactions with the chairman.
Yeah.
It's nice to work with somebody who's really smart, who gets it when you tell him something,
Sure.
and who fights back, who tells you, what he thinks, and if you have a different opinion, it's okay to fight back with him.
Right. Wow, that's cool. Have you heard of Kurzweil's book, The Age of Spiritual Machines? Mm-hmm. It's I don't know if you've read it. I'm working my way through it slowly, but in that Ray Kurzweil, who has his Kurzweil empire in several different technologies and areas, including speech recognition and music and all this kind of stuff. He talks about technology as a natural evolution of human beings, and not a new idea, but he sort of thinks that in the next 10 or 20 years, that machines will be truly intelligent. Whatever that means, whether it's the perception of intelligence or whatever. But his main argument is that that technology is increasing exponentially, and it has been ever since the Big Bang. And so if you chart it on a map, the kind of stuff we're going to be doing in 20 years, we just won't have any idea. We don't have any idea right now how far it's going to go.
Well, he's got an interesting chart in there that is used in a paper or two that I really like to quote, because what there's some observations that are great. One is that every time we look to the past, we notice that everything has grown exponentially. Every time we look to the future, we predict linearly.
Right.
And we do this over and over because we say, well, it can't keep up, so it's got to go back to a linear pace.
Right.
But it doesn't.
It never does.
The other is Moore's law is for given technology.
Right.
Everybody's all concerned because Intel says they're now going to not go any faster on single processors, and they're going to have to do something else, and that's the end of Moore's law.
Yeah.
But if you look at everything, from vacuum tubes to transistors to small-scale integration, large-scale, and so forth, all the technologies each had a Moore's law. And it's actually, across them all, it's the Moore's law of Moore's law.
Right.
And so the curve you wind up drawing is even steeper than you'd expect.
Yeah.
And then using all of that, he does a prediction. He takes a look at how many neurons we've got in the brain and what the connectivity is and how fast they are, and then compares that to the number of calculations you can do on a computer for $1,000. I don't remember the exact years, but in like the year 2000, for $1,000, you get a computer that has the same power as the brain of a cricket.
Right.
Some such thing.
Right.
In 2010, $1,000 gets you the brain of a mouse.
Right.
In 2020, it's the brain of a human being.
Yeah, he really makes quite a leap.
Well, this is this curve we're talking about. In 2040, for $1,000, you get the equivalent computing power of all humans on the planet.
Yeah.
And, what are you going to do with that? Well, we don't have a clue. He does make a little snide comment on the side, says, well, you're not going to run Windows on it. But, okay, if you've really got that amount of computing power that cheaply for everybody, it will change how we do everything. And can I tell you what that's going to look like? Not a clue.
Okay, I was just going to point out that if you have a machine which is even twice as intelligent as you are, you're not going to be able to figure out what to do with it. It's going to figure out what to do with you. So if you've got something that that has the computing power of all the human beings on the planet, whatever that happens to be, in 2040, I think you're not going to have to worry too much about what to do with them, because you're just going to be kind of running probably according to their schedule, which wouldn't really bother me too much. But I mean, some people feel differently.
So do you think we're going to meet Weena in our lifetime? I mean, time machine, go into the future and find a society where people stop thinking for themselves?
Well, to be honest, I'm spending my time trying to figure out what comes next. I'd like to just figure out what is the next thing I ought to be building and how I ought to make it happen. And I haven't really thought too much about, well, after I retire and my kids or my kids' kids are around, what is it going to look like? I don't think I'm smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah. Sure is nice to think about, though, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the next thing, if you can say so without being fired? or?
Oh, no, it's more the case if I knew, I'd be out doing it right now.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer in evolution until I figure out the right revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of great evolutionary steps that are going on. There's a few revolutionary ones. We've talked about a few of the technologies at this point. And, there's stuff going to come in nanotechnology. There's stuff going to come in, little things like the MRAM stuff that's coming. Okay,
MRAM.
MRAMs are, think of RAM memory that has the persistence of flash.
Okay, great.
So you get rid of all the flash, get rid of all the RAM, use one memory type that your machine now turns on instantly. The costs are the same as RAM, so there's no reason not to use it.
Get rid of hard drives, too, for that matter.
Exactly, once you get to a large enough scale there. And that's already, there's several companies who are already starting to ship chips. They've already shipped prototypes they're going to ship in production, I think, the end of this year, beginning of next year. So what happens when a technology like that hits the market? It changes a lot of dynamics. Those are the types of things I spent time thinking of, okay, how are we going to make use of it? What does that change, and how can we best make it happen?
That is going to be a huge change in the way we use computers when we don't have to wait for them to boot up, and reconfigure themselves, and hard drives don't crash, and
And they're rugged, you can drop them, all of that.
Yes, sir. I'm all for it.
So I don't have to do too much looking way into the future. There's enough stuff coming, now that I can stay plenty excited.
You're obviously excited about Longhorn. Who isn't?
Oh, yeah.
Who isn't, What do you make of the well, and you're not the right person to ask this about, the recent announcements. I just thought I'd bring it up, that they got sort of bogged down with some security stuff and they had to punt some things, but we'll come back to that with another guest. But what I'm really interested in hearing from you is what kinds of technologies in Longhorn do you think are, if any, are going to be revolutionary and are going to change the way people use computers?
Well, I think we've got two types of technologies coming in Longhorn, and I am very excited about it. I think everything that's been announced are all the right things, side note. I think no matter what, the pieces that even aren't bundled anymore, that aren't part of Longhorn, will be there in beta when Longhorn ships.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything that really is even the revolutionary technologies will still be there, whether they're integrated into the system on day one or they're in beta and will be, shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Also, now that there's the story on XP, it means you can use this across everything. So
that is cool.
Right. So things that excite me are things like making wireless networks automatically usable by everybody.
Oh, thank
God. You
God.
don't need to be a network guru to use them.
I'm certainly glad to hear you say that.
Making the home network secure automatically and not having to be a sysadmin to figure it out.
Yeah.
Synchronization, being able to keep my data, among all my machines and not, again, have to do some arcane step to make it happen. A UI that I believe kicks ass. Okay?
Yes, sir.
It's something that is enjoyable to use, it's exciting, and from a productivity point of view, the right things are in the right place, and you control it and personalize it.
Yeah.
So all the way up and down the line, from the communications to the storage to the UI, there's just an amazing amount of technologies. I mean, we did a presentation across the org to show what is in the 2006 release, and it was 30 pages of slides of just bullets listing all the things going in. This isn't the stuff that they pulled out. This is the stuff that's staying.
Yeah.
So there is so much there to be excited about. It isn't even funny.
Yeah. Have you installed Service Pack 2 for XP?
Of course. I've been running it from day one, from before it shipped, on everything.
Right. What's your take?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden, I don't have to worry about what I click on. I don't have to worry about things hitting my machine. Plus, Service Pack 2 also gave us the Tablet 2005 bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sure.
So what's there? And now I have the M200 that I got at the tablet thingy that I still can't remember the name of that official event, but
okay.
That had, I guess, a beta version. Mm-hmm. So it had some of the features that are in this new 2005. So, but why don't you tell everybody else what?
Well, the thing that was the most important to me was the in-place tip. So instead of having to bring a pen input box up and dock it on the bottom or eat screen space, you don't even worry that it's there. Whenever you tap on anything that takes input, so you tap on an edit box, there's a little icon that just floats next to it. If you ignore it, nothing happens. If you touch it or hover on it, you can set it up, it pops up a tip or a little input panel right at that spot. And you can set it up so it's just set for handwriting. And so when it pops up, you write what you want, you hit insert, and it goes away.
Yeah.
And so now you can do, very, very efficient use of ink on the machine, and not have to eat space for it. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I got to tell you, I love that feature. I love it. I don't know what life was like before that feature, but I do love it.
Mm-hmm. All of that was not there before this release. So what you're seeing is you'll be happy that you didn't have to live before this in using ink.
Yeah,
it was closer to the Pocket PC input panel before, where you just had the one bar across the bottom. Mm-hmm. And although you could write across the screen, Carl, it wasn't nearly as slick. When I installed SP2 on my tablet last week, I felt like I had a new computer. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
I liked tablet PC, the XP tablet edition before, but having SP2 on there is so much better. And it's not just jokes. And I was talking to people at my seminars this week who had installed SP2 on their tablets, and they were just as excited about it. Everybody feels like they got a new machine once they installed Tablet PC 2005. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I saw the pop up and paste kind of dockable input panel before, and you're right, that gets you so far, but it doesn't really do the job. And and this is you're right. I want to write right there. Click, write it, insert. You're done. It's very nice. What about has the handwriting recognition been improved in 2005?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah, it keeps improving. And I'm left-handed and have lousy handwriting, which is also interesting. So does our chairman, and so he's been a great critic of handwriting input in general.
Yeah.
And this works well. It works well for left-handed people also, as well as right-handed. The very original stuff, left-handed mode was very hard to use. It just didn't recognize that well. But this is great. Again, we have enough data. We've done enough training on it, done a lot of work that it's just very reliable. And, when I do input, I don't use the input soft keyboard. I use handwriting now all the time.
I do that too. I even use handwriting for chatting in MSN, it's amazing how it almost understands cursive better than block characters.
I think it does.
That's incredible. I mean, it's easy to see. I mean, there's more ink there. It generates more ink. There's less disconnects from letter to letter.
And of course, in MSN, you can also just send the ink raw if you want to.
Yeah, if somebody else has the right version on the other side, right? And that's cool too. Yeah. So where do you see DOA from the chat room? That's his or her alias. They're asking, where do you see the tablet in 2 years?
I see thinner, lighter, more accurate, turning it more into something. It's like just a little notebook. You always have it with you. You don't even think about it. You carry it, and it's because it's always connected, of course. Better communications, all of that. I just see it as becoming more and more ubiquitous, more and more just part of your life, as opposed to you use it for something specific or use it here. It becomes something that is just you don't even think about having it with you because it just does everything for you.
In order to do that, what do you think about? What do you think about ruggedizing it? Because one of my concerns when I carry my tablet around is that I don't want to pull it out, in the rain. I don't want to pull it out here. I don't want to pull it out there. But if I had one, and especially one which were, say, a slate tablet as opposed to a convertible, so it would be in tablet mode all the time, I would definitely want that thing to be ruggedized.
I played with a ruggedized one yesterday. No, this is not one the average person would buy, but this is a fully ruggedized unit. And I think it was possibly Shell Oil bought a bunch of these for all their people in the field. But the unit itself, you can put it underwater. You can just drop this from 10 feet onto the floor, and it doesn't care. Now,
that's
again,
what I want, basically.
It's expensive, right? Because it's made specifically for rugged environments. But the technologies used to ruggedize it are starting to migrate back into the consumer side. And I think you're going to see, a lot of them are now putting shock absorbers around the disk drives and various other things in to make the units more and more forgiving. And that I think that trend will just continue.
Yeah, because it'd be much better if we could just simply slip these things into a notebook, into a bag or something like that, or just carry them around with us without having to worry about the screen getting scratched
into
or
your overalls,
the thing getting dinged up. Well, for example, in the overalls.
Keep you warm in the winter.
You got to carry them around in your laptop bag, and it makes it feel like a totally separate thing. It doesn't feel like it's integrated at that point. So I'd love to see something like that. And I thought maybe just saying that to you would, maybe, I mean, you and Mr. Gates and everything,
Well, again, though, we don't build the hardware, right? We advise,
right?
But we make a platform so it's
true,
possible to build those. But it's what the market decides is what people are going to make.
One thing that's a very cool technology, and I don't know which version of the tablet OS it's in or when it was introduced, but it's the real-time stylus.
Mm-hmm.
And the real-time stylus is something that you programmatically have to take advantage of, and the people who are just responding to mouse events or mouse messages basically aren't taking advantage of it. So you have applications out there that really require fast tracking, like Photoshop, things like that. And right now they're using the mouse to track, and you can actually see the lag because they're doing a lot of processing behind those mouse events. And you can see a lag between where the pen is and where the line is keeping up or whatever. With the real-time stylus, they actually changed the model of how you get at the data, and it's at a much lower level. And so the result is just an incredibly fast-tracking pen. And that is yet to be integrated into a lot of the programs that you're using today. But, in the future, programs like Photoshop and other things where handwriting recognition is done. And you can actually write in C# or in VBNet an application that takes advantage of the real-time stylus to do handwriting recognition, and it's going to be really, really fast. Now, where can you go to get that information? I don't know, but I'm sure we'll find it before Monday and put a link to the...
Yeah, I believe it's in MSDN, is the information, and especially part of the handwriting, the SDK for the tablet. I believe I've seen examples of how to use it, because the handwriting system itself uses that.
Yeah, okay.
You can't afford to drop samples. And so the tip and all the ways we get the handwriting in use that interface, and it's fully documented and available in MSDN. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
So the tip does use it, the floating tip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it would, right.
Well, you've got the higher the resolution or the higher fidelity of the input signal, the better you do, handwriting or speech.
Awesome. Well, man, this has been an enlightening and fascinating couple hours with you, Dave. Are there any last-minute words of wisdom you want to impart on the audience, or calls to action, or anything else you want to mention?
No, other than, I spent a lot of years in my career before I came to Microsoft, and in the end, it felt like coming home. There are a lot of people here who really love what they're doing, really love what they're building, and are very proud of it. And I think they've got good reason to be. There's just constantly stuff coming, and I just can't wait to see what we do next.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. It's been great having you on. You can go ahead and sit tight while we introduce the next segment, which is Richard the Toy Boy.
39 speakers in my living room. NASA complains about the sonic boom. 10-foot high screen, 20 feet wide.
So, Richard Campbell, are you out there, sir?
I certainly am. How are you?
Doing good. Have you been listening to the show?
I have, and I've been enjoying it immensely.
Yeah, I imagine.
I've been carefully selecting toys that would tie in with the conversations we've been having.
This has been like the toy show, really.
It really has, hasn't it? And that's been the best part for me, is just saying, this stuff's really coming to fruition. It's exciting.
It's very exciting. So what you got for us?
I just want to tell you how nice it is to actually do a show with not using a cell phone.
Yeah.
I know we had a lot of fun last week, but it was hard. That and drunken RDs is always challenging to deal with.
Yeah, true.
All right, let's lead
though.
off with the good toy.
Okay.
We always got to lead with the good toy. And the good toy, we'll use Shrinkster, of course. So shrinkster.com/I as in indigo 1. Go off to I1 and tie nicely into the conversation we were just having. Now, actually, I got to give a shout to Kurt Webb, because he pointed me at this. Our own Weird Wide Web guy has aimed at this thing, and this is right out of Star Trek. This is the Vocera communication device. You clip it to your shirt, and you tap a button. It uses Wi-Fi and voice recognition. So you say, I want to talk to Carl, and then it'll buzz your Voicera device and say, Richard Campbell's wants to talk to you, and you say, okay, and puts the call through.
Director Enterprise, Scotty McCoy, I have something to tell you.
Assemble an away team.
So this is more than just a device, though. You have to buy the system, right?
Yeah, well, the voice rec gear is what's going to cost you the money. It's not cheap.
And this isn't something we're going to be giving away as a toy, right? Because it's like $5,000 or something, is it?
Way more than that, actually.
Really?
I don't think we're going to be able to.
We could give away the batteries that go in the individual units. Yeah.
Yeah, don't think we're going to be able to give away one of those, but maybe I'll find us an original Star Trek communicator. We can give one of those away.
Have you seen the Vocera Communications communicator?
Oh, yeah. Neat.
You really have?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No, I don't have one. I just saw the reviews on it, that type of thing.
Cool.
But, I tend to at least watch the toys that go by, right?
Sure. That's the whole purpose of this segment. So what does it cost, Richard? Just if somebody really wanted to buy one.
I'll give you the honest truth is that it's one of those products where if you have to ask, they don't list the price.
Our company was actually thinking about this.
Really?
And it's the kind of product where they come in, you fly in a couple guys, and they sit down with you and talk to you about how this can best help your company. And
good Lord,
yeah, it's a big deal. It looks neat. Yeah. A very impressive demo, and we decided to decline because.
But really, I mean, other than the small package, this isn't anything new, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's
nothing. The pricing here has nothing to do with the cost of the hardware. The pricing has to do with the perceived
you know what it reminds
value.
me of? You know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of the telephone.
Exactly. Or maybe a cell phone, right? Exactly.
I don't know, maybe, but yeah, there's just something about it. Like the idea of two-way communications between two parties. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the similarity is. Yeah, but that's weird.
This is basically voice dial with a button.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't even dial on it.
All right, Richard.
And the bottom line is, if they did make these things $50 a piece and $1,000 for the server, then they'd be everywhere. But in the meantime, they're going to pump us for what they can get.
Yeah.
Well, plus you got to buy a spaceship to use them in. So.
Assemble an away team, and somebody's going to die, and it's just a bad thing.
Yeah. Life insurance costs.
The person on the left is the one that's going to bite it because we don't recognize them. So what's the? So Richard, what's the questionable toy of the week?
Well, I actually have two, and I'm going to lead off with the second one because it's the one that was brought to mind, and I hadn't originally put it in consideration. It was in the stack, but I had to pull it out when Rory got that letter about the rocket ship. And so I'll send you to shrinkster.com/I3. It's Indigo 3.
Okay. Jet-powered wheelchair.
Somebody has to stop this man, okay? Because this is just... Now, the good
on.
news is he's already in a wheelchair, right? So when he wipes out, he hasn't got to go very far.
That's going to kick my grandma's Lark's ass. Oh, my God.
Jet-powered wheelchair surprise. Giuseppe Canella had a big surprise for his mother-in-law when he put a jet engine on the back of her wheelchair.
And no brakes.
And
he's not
picture.
wearing a helmet, though. Look at the picture. That's the...
Well, he's already in a wheelchair.
That guy's got some
Yeah,
guts,
right.
Actually.
Wow.
Well,
He's already
yeah,
in a
but
wheelchair.
I mean...
Far to go. Yeah. Holiday surprise.
Well, he's got the brains to attach a rocket thing to a wheelchair and then actually steer it and survive. So I'd probably wear a helmet. I mean, he's got something going on upstairs.
Well, her son-in-law's been collecting money.
Her
son-in-law's been collecting money for the Parkinson's Disease Society and hopes to collect up to £1,500 during the shows at the British Model Flying Association National Champion. Yeah, but who's collecting for the helmet fund? That,
Well, the thing is, the guy's a model airplane guy, and he's model airplanes. You can now buy genuine jet engines for your model airplanes.
Oh man,
yikes!
Which it's not a clever thing really, because you fly your airplane away and then it's gone.
Okay,
and then they call it a cruise missile.
All right, so what's the bad toy that I assume this is what we're going to give away?
Yeah, the one we're going to give away is I2. So shrinkster.com, Indigo 2. This is the one I wanted because I keep running into this technology that people just shouldn't build, okay? And USB rubber duckies is wrong.
Oh, God.
Camouflage glow-in-the-dark USB rubber duckies is really wrong. Okay?
I actually
You
really
don't
like that.
make camo rubber duckies.
All right.
I think you guys
I
would
like that
appreciate.
thing.
I wrote a paper for Bill G this year, part of his Think Week, on all the misuses of USB out there. And the rubber ducky made the list.
You're kidding.
No, it was there. We had the Hello Kitty USB hub, the personal fan, the aromatherapy, USB aromatherapy. And my all-time
Coffee cup
favorite,
warmers.
which turned out to be a joke because it came out on April 1st, was the George Foreman USB grill.
Awesome.
Jeez. Dave, we can't put anything past you. Did you actually know about the rocket-powered wheelchair?
Oh, well, it was on like Engadget or Gizmodo or something last week, I think.
This is insane. You can't,
He's one step ahead.
He's just totally
He's on
ahead
it.
of us. All right, so
The camo is really
so
cool.
what do these things cost anyway?
Well, and the basic one is $50.
Pricing. Okay. Well, wait a minute. Let's get the middle
That thing
one.
is so cool. It lights up and it's a memory stick. I want one.
I love the
actually.
model
I really
number.
want
The
one.
model number iDuck-256. That's the one we'll give away. This one is a 256 memory storage device, 256 meg USB. Choose pink, yellow, or blue. Oh, wait a minute. So what? No camouflage on that version? Or
The Army
Camouflage
Duck.
only comes in the low one.
Oh, actually, no. The 512 is an Army
Oh.
Duck too, but that's a little more pricey.
the little one. Okay. Well, let's give away the USB 2.0 memory storage device, the 512, because that comes in pink, yellow, blue, tangerine, heart, or Army Duck. So let's do that one, and it's $329. That'll be a good prize. So, Richard, what do these guys have to do in order to win right now? And
Well, I'm glad you asked this question because, of course, the tie between the iDuck is the whole, when I see a guy on a rocket-powered wheelchair, I duck.
oh, jeez,
Ba-doom.
yikes!
Well, so you got to go with what you can go with. So I'll make it an easy one. Find out how fast this stupid wheelchair can go. Email it to Carl. Win yourself a duck.
Hello, my future girlfriend.
Okay, that was from last week. By the way, anyone who listened last week and went to that site, apparently it has some Trojan virus or something like that. So don't go to that site. Was it killed? Oh, the site was killed? Okay. Well, we're going to put a link to the MP3, which we are pretty sure does not have any viruses in it. We think that's pretty much impossible. But so anyway, if you have the answer, send it to .netrocks@franklins.net. And while you're doing that, we'll just play a little bit of play a little Strawberry Milk.
Hi, Daddy.
Until we get the right answer. Congratulations, Julian K is our winner. Hey. Yeah, bravo. Yes. Julian K, one of our good friends and constant listener, and you win. So Julian, send me which style you want of the USB rubber duck, and
get the camo duck.
Yeah, I think you ought to get the camo duck, and we'll send you one of those. And what can I say, guys? It's been a great show. Dave, thanks. What can I say? It's been awesome. And come back and join us again sometime.
Will do.
All right. On behalf of myself, Rory Blythe, Richard Campbell, Jeff Maciolik, Kirk Webb, it's Carl Franklin signing off saying we'll see you next week. Geek out.